Hello everyone, this is Clicky Power with a status damage guide for Marvel's Avengers. In the game, there are 6 different types of status damage types, each with a different effect. Here's a chart created by the Avengers Science Table. I will leave a link to their Google Doc in the description below, as it has a lot of good information about the game like status effects, perks, and loot locations. Going over quickly the statuses. Cosmic increases damage taken and will restore willpower when you hit. Pin particles will reduce the size of the enemy, causing them to take more damage and deal less damage to you. Plasma burn will cause damage over time, interrupt enemies, and possibly spread to other enemies. Gamma poisoning will cause the damage over time, spread to nearby enemies, and cause enemies to explode and damage nearby enemies. Cryo freeze will slow movements and inhibit enemy defenses. And lastly, shock increases damage taken by upping critical hit chance. Now, to cause an enemy to suffer these effects, must first cause enough status damage that their status bar for that type increases until it is filled. Just like the stun bar, but each of these status types have their own bar. So you might see multiple bars above an enemy's head at the same time. When the status bar for that type is filled, the status effect will kick in. Once activated, you can do some pretty funny things like throw a clone of Taskmaster off a building with Hulk. To fill the status bar faster, you need to upgrade your intensity, which will affect status damage. The higher your intensity, the faster enemy status bar will fill up. Next, let's go over exploit damage. And this is when we combine a positive status effect with a negative status effect, or vice versa. Exploit damage will cause the enemy to take 2 times the normal amount of damage. To get exploit damage, you must first fill the status bar of an enemy, and then hit them with the opposite type of status effect. For example, when my Thor comes back from the Bifrost, he causes plasma damage. So now all my enemies are suffering plasma burn because their status bar is filled. But if I hit them with a shock damage attack like God Blast, or any attack combined with Odin Force, this will activate exploit damage. You will notice you are doing exploit damage or double damage when you see light green damage numbers. Exploit damage is a great way to maximize your damage potential, especially if you're going for a more balanced build without sacrificing defenses. Some characters will be able to activate exploit damage easier than others. Thor, for example, might be one of the best heroes to activate exploit damage, as he naturally comes with shock attacks and can make all the attacks shock based by using Odin Force. Just find a gear piece like I did that comes with the opposite status damage type, and it becomes very easy for Thor to activate exploit damage. And Thor can use his Bifrost Muspelheim specialization to combine plasma with shock damage to get exploit damage. So it is very easy for Thor to get exploit damage. Hulk can also do exploit damage by using Stranglehold and Thunderclap Gamma specializations to cause Gamma poisoning, and then find a gear piece of the opposite type, so like him or Plasma or Cosmic. And you can also just swing enemies around that have a status damage type, so like Stiletto, robots usually do shock damage. Now, Black Widow's heavy attacks naturally cause shock damage, and so does her Widow's Bite and ultimate ability. So she's another character that could easily activate exploit damage. Just find the opposite status type from a gear piece, or you can set her grenades to plasma through a specialization. Iron Man can also do exploit damage by using his Arc Overload, which causes shock damage. If the enemy's status bar fills up from this, hit them with the opposite status type. Right now, particles and plasma with missiles is very popular. Now, Captain America and Ms. Marvel, I believe, will have the hardest time activating exploit damage because none of their attacks naturally come with status types like Thor and Black Widow. And if you want exploit damage to be a part of these 2 heroes' builds, or any heroes' builds, you may need to invest in 2 different gear types with 2 different status types. But this can still be hard to exploit. Melee gear usually only affects melee attacks, and range gear usually only affects range attacks. So as you can see, for my Captain America, if I'm playing him, I might have to hit an enemy with a couple of ranged power attacks before I can hit him with melee power attacks, which will cause exploit damage, or the other way around. So as you can see, some characters definitely have an edge to cause exploit damage, like Thor and Black Widow over Captain America and Ms. Marvel. Now lastly, a good piece to use with status type damage builds is the Tactagon. When using it, your character will fill up enemy status bars faster and cause more overall damage to status affected enemies. So this is a definite major artifact to look at if you're doing status type damage build. Well, that's it for the guide. I hope it was quick and very informative for you. Again, I'll leave the link to the Google Doc in the description below. And I'll have more videos out for Avengers. I'm working on builds for Hulk and Iron Man right now, but I'm just looking for gear pieces I want. But those will be coming out hopefully shortly. And right now I am playing Spider-Man games. I'm doing a Spider-Man marathon on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/clickpower. So if you want to come hang out, come there. I usually play Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and I'll usually play also on Fridays and Saturdays live. Right now we're going to start playing Ultimate Spider-Man, and then we'll move on to the other Spider-Man games like Spider-Man 3 and Spider-Man Whip of Shadows until Miles Morales Spider-Man comes out. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to leave a like and a comment. And if you want to see more content, remember to subscribe. That's it for now, guys. See you next time.